Hey, everybody, it's Doug Green, and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News. And we're back with another exciting edition of Pots and Shots. We have with us again today Jake Jacoby, CEO of TELCLOUD. Jake, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Doug. Good to see you again.
So, today we're going to be talking about built to last, fault tolerant infrastructure for modern telecom. So, I need to jump right in and ask, because I've heard that term before, but was afraid to ask what it meant. What does fault tolerant mean?
Yeah. So fault tolerant is really the ability to fail at something and then have a backup or multiple backups, right? And so when you talk about building fault tolerant infrastructure, right? So for instance, the carriers do that. Verizon does that, right? They don't just put in one cell tower, they have multiple cell towers, right? So when you're roaming around, you are maybe connected to a primary cell tower, but then you can, if that cell tower goes down, you get connectivity from another one, so it allows your phone call to stay up or to stay connected, right? So coming from a telco background and infrastructure background, building fault tolerant, meaning it doesn't go down, it can have multiple failures. You build fault tolerant networks, and that's what I've done my entire career. And the goal is to get fault tolerant to 5 nines of uptime, right? 99.999% uptime, right? Meaning that even if something goes down, the service still continues on. So that's what we mean by that.
So, how does TELCLOUD's geographically redundant design reduce risks of downtime or data loss compared to other approaches?
Yeah. So going back to this fault tolerant piece, right? When you design a network, especially a network that serves life safety, right? Which is exactly what we do. We've been talking about it for a while. We can't have a single point of failure, right? It has to be fault tolerant. It has to stay up. So how do you do that? Well, one, your infrastructure, your backbone, your cloud infrastructure, your data centers have to be redundant. So the way that we start is that each data center is geographically dispersed, right? So we have East Coast, West Coast, Central, all data centers around the world. In that data center, you build redundancy. So, a server could fail, a service could fail, something could fail, power could fail, and you have redundancy. You use things like load balancers so that you can put traffic to multiple places without it going down. So first, in a data center, you build redundancy, and then you build redundancy of data centers. So you have multiple data centers. So like, for instance, typically a simple scenario would be an east-west, right? So East Coast traffic goes to East Coast data centers, West Coast goes to West Coast data centers. And if there's an emergency or something fails, they fail to each other. So West Coast goes down, goes to another West Coast, or goes to East, etc. So that's the data center. That's the infrastructure. Okay. Now that infrastructure talks to on-premise equipment. So let's talk about redundancy there. So when you have on-premise equipment, you have power from the building that powers that device. That's your first source of power. Your second source of power is your battery backup. Again, we've talked about power going out a lot in this series. And so there's the redundancy in power, right? So you have power from the building, and then you have battery backup power. The next thing, in some, even like hospital systems, have a third source. They have a generator, right? So you have power, wall power, you've got battery backup, and you've got generators. So that's building fault tolerant, power. Then on the connectivity side, you have multiple WANs. You could have fiber. You could have cellular. We use cellular always in life safety lines because we can keep that cellular on when there's a problem or if the power goes out. So you could have WAN 1, WAN 2, WAN 3, Wi-Fi is WAN, cellular WAN. In the cellular WAN or cellular WAN, you can actually have carrier 1, carrier 2, carrier 3. So meaning, if one of the carriers has a problem, you fail to the other one. So that's really, when you look at all of this redundancy, right? What you're really trying to do is guarantee that phone line is going to work in an emergency. And when things go wrong, that's when emergencies happen, right? So power's out, weather, things like this, cell tower goes down. That's what we're trying to do. And we build that fault tolerant network in order to keep these systems and solutions up so that in an emergency, our service works and the customer can get the contact the first responders in which they, need help.
Now, can this type of structure be presented to the customer as an actual value add?
Absolutely. Right. So again, the customer probably doesn't want to hear everything that I just said, or doesn't really care, right? What do they care about? They care that it's going to work. It's going to be up and running, right? Why do you buy cell service on your cell phone from Verizon or one of the other big carriers? You buy it because it's not like a rinky-dink little cell carrier that is going to work some places and not others. It's nationwide. It's one of the best in the world, and they're providing the service, and that's what you're paying for, right? The same thing goes with TELCLOUD service. When our resellers partner with us, they know that they're getting the best technology, the best backing. It's constantly improving, it's staying up with the times. It's going from 4G to 5G to 6G to the future to satellite, things like that. They're getting the best, and they're able to provide that guaranteed service to the customer. And that's what the customer really cares about.
And now that blue background means it's time for the shots part of the podcast. So we're doing a world tour of the best tequilas in the world. Jake, what do you have for us this week?
Very special one today. So this one is called Casa San Mateus. It is, it's called, the tequila's Rey Sol. I'm going to put this down here because it comes in a very special box.
Oh,
look at this. So it's a nice little box, and then it's got like a sun on here. And when you actually open it up, it's a very cool bottle like this. So it's got a nice little sun face on it. Beautiful bottle. This is an extra añejo. It's been aged. You can see the dark color, right? So that's been sitting in a oak barrel for 5 years. It comes from Jalisco, Mexico, and it's meant to be displayed. It's a beautiful bottle. I will tell you, it's kind of pricey. So, but
it looks like that's an expensive bottle.
It is an expensive bottle.
Yeah.
And so, but as you can see, it's a very cool. It's got a little, the topper on it, but it's cool. It's very, it's amazing taste, very rich and kind of bold. Definitely a sipping tequila, but nice to display. It's in the little box, or you can just take it out, and it's clear, and it's got the little sun face. He looks happy, and so have a happy, fun day.
Now, I want to full disclosure. All these POTS replacement devices come with a detector. If we see you using these expensive and unique tequilas for a margarita, that's not good, right?
Yes, that would be unfortunate.
Yeah,
you definitely want to. In Mexico, the producers of any alcohol, but they take their business very seriously. They put a lot of time, heart, and soul, and sweat and tears into these things, and they produce amazing results. But so definitely try it. There's a lot of tequilas out there. We've been touching on some of the best in the world, and they all have different nuances. So the nice thing is to share with friends. Again, have a happy face like this with the Mr. Sun here, and definitely enjoy. But yeah,
I hadn't asked this question before. These sipping tequilas, they shouldn't be done with ice, right? You don't want to do that, or is that a good idea? I don't know.
That's a good question. So it depends on, that's really preference. Now, traditionally, you would drink them neat, right? So that but some people, they like it chilled. So what you can do, a couple different things that you can do is, one, just drink it neat and room temperature. Some people have, one of my really good friends, Alan is there. He's actually our president. He's taught me a lot about tequila. He loves his kind of room temperature. I like mine colder. So there's two ways to do that. Is one, you can get this, you call a big rock. So it's a big ice cube, and you put that in there, and they put that in there. And the reason that you want the big ice cube is it melts slower, right? So if you have regular ice and you put tequila in there, it's going to melt pretty quickly. And so your tequila gets watered down. Some people enjoy that, right? They want a little water watered down. I like the original type of taste and that. The other way that you can do it if you don't want to water it down is you can chill the bottle, right? So put the bottle in the freezer. Typically, it's not going to, well, if it's tequila, it's not going to freeze. It'll come out nice and cold. You can pour it, and then you can have cold tequila without watering it down. But up to you, choice. Yeah.
Now, is it true you really need to buy the tequila in Mexico to really get the real stuff? Is that true?
It is so you can if it's labeled and it comes from Mexico. Also, here's the thing: all tequila comes from Jalisco, and there's a town called Tequila, so it has to come from that state. There's a little bit of nuance in if you buy it from Mexico, right? There's different labeling and regulations around that. When you bring in the U.S., there's different restrictions on that. But typically, if you're buying a high-end tequila, you're getting the real stuff. But I would also say there's some about drinking tequila in Mexico, right? So it's like drinking champagne in France. It just makes it a little more special. So and the other thing is that when you're in Mexico, you have probably access to a lot more tequilas because not all tequilas are exported around the world. Some are very small batch that just live within the country, and so you have access to that. But yeah, I think if you're drinking any of the tequilas that we've talked about, you're getting the real stuff. So,
Jake, I really want to thank you for joining me today. This has been very interesting, an interesting tour, as always, of what's happening with the POTS replacement. It is a huge and immediate opportunity for the MSPs and the channels. Where can we learn more about TELCLOUD?
Yes, always at our website, telcloud.com, or you can give us a call, 844-900-2270. Give us a call. We'd love to partner with you and go celebrate with some tequila together.
All right. Well, as I've always said, it's Friday somewhere at 5 o'clock. Somewhere. All right. So in the universe, in the world, what have you. So, but I hope everyone take a look at our website. There's a series of these. We're coming out with more, and it's really educational. Guys, this is a great opportunity for the MSPs and channel partners. Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. See you next time.